Welcome back to Outside Views, and today we need to address the looming shadow over the Conservative Party that we started a little bit yesterday. But there's a certain date here, and it will be the 2026 local elections and the potential end of Kemi Badenoch's leadership. And my personal view is that we are witnessing a leader who's trying to perform surgery on a patient that has already checked out of the hospital. And the reality is that Kemi Badenoch didn't just inherit a party in trouble. She inherited a party that is currently being hollowed out by the very forces of populism it flirted with for a decade. And as we sit here in December 2025, the polling data is nothing short of catastrophic for the Tories. While Badenoch has seen a tiny dead cat bounce in her personal ratings this month, rising to a net score of -26, this is almost entirely due to existing Tory voters coming home rather than anyone new being won over. And meanwhile, the party's national voting intention has slumped to a pathetic 17 or 18%, a figure that would have been unthinkable even in the dark days of the 2024 general election. And in contrast, Nigel Farage and Reform UK are sitting pretty at the top of the polls, consistently hitting 27 to 31%, sometimes even the mid-30s, and effectively acting as the de facto opposition. The big danger point, the X on the calendar, is Thursday, May 7th, 2026. This is the day of the UK-wide local elections, where over 5,000 council seats are up for grabs across 136 authorities, including every single borough in London. And my view is that this will not just be a bad night for the Conservatives, it will be an existential crisis. In 2025, Reform UK already pulled off a sweeping victory in local contests, winning hundreds of seats and even taking control of several authorities. By May 2026, they will have a fully professionalized ground game, and they are targeting the blue wall in the south and the remaining Tory heartlands with clinical precision. If the Tories lose hundreds more councillors in May, the internal pressure on Badenoch will become intolerable. Already 37% of Conservative members believe she is doing a bad job, and a staggering 50% say she should not lead the party into the next general election. And what makes the 2026 election so lethal for Badenoch is the specific geography of where the votes are happening. London is a fortress for Labour, but the real story is this donut of suburban councils where the Tories used to be king. Boroughs like Hillingdon and Harrow, traditional safe Conservative ground, are now under direct threat from both the Liberal Democrats and Reform. And then there's the Greater Essex mayoral election. Essex is the heart of Badenoch country. It's where her own constituency is, and it's where senior figures like James Cleverly and Priti Patel have their bases. If the Conservatives lose the Essex mayoralty to Reform in 2026, it won't just be a defeat. It will be a humiliation that signals the total collapse of the party's core identity. And the party is already struggling so much to find people willing to wear the blue rosette that they've had to introduce a streamlined selection process. Basically, a fast track for candidates that skips the usual vetting and member-led hustings. And when a party can't even find enough volunteers to stand for election in target wards, you know that the brand is effectively dead in the water. The strategy Badenoch has chosen is what I call a core reform strategy. She has spent her first year as leader trying to out-Farage, moving further to the right on immigration and on culture war issues. But in my view, this is a strategic disaster because it leaves a massive gaping hole in the centre of British politics. The Liberal Democrats under Ed Davey are already feasting on this vacuum, winning council by-elections in the home counties and positioning themselves as the sensible, pragmatic alternative. In a single week in November 2025, the Lib Dems beat both the Tories and Reform in Surrey. And Badenoch is essentially fighting a two-front war. She's being eaten from the right by Farage and from the centre-left by Ed Davey. She's trying to save the furniture while the house is on fire, and she's doing it by throwing more petrol on the flames of right-wing ideology. If, or rather when, the local election results come in on May 8th in 2026, the men in grey suits will have a very simple calculation to make. They will see a leader who has presided over the worst poll ratings in history and the loss of the party's last remaining strongholds. And the rumors are already circulating that Robert Jenrick is ready for a rematch, and he currently polls as the favorite among the 2024 Jenrick voters to take over. And even more incredibly, 1/3 of Conservative members say they would rather have Nigel Farage as their leader than Kemi Badenoch. That's the ultimate irony. The party that delivered Brexit is now so broken that its own members want to be led by the men who forced them into it. And my outside view is that 2026 will be the year the Conservative Party either splits in two or is effectively swallowed by Reform UK. And the tragedy of the Badenoch leadership is that she is trying to solve a 21st century problem with 1980s rhetoric. She talks about lower taxes and better services, while the public is watching the NHS crumble and their mortgage rates stay high. She dismisses the Liberal Democrats as people who are only good at fixing church roofs, but those church roof voters are the ones who are abandoning her in droves. The 2026 elections will prove that you cannot win a national election by only talking to the angriest 10% of the electorate. Unless there is a black swan event that somehow saves her, Kemi Badenoch is likely to be the shortest-lived leader of the opposition in modern history. And the clock is ticking, and the alarm is set for the first Thursday in May.